Good morning.
Yes. It's 9 a.m. For our Palm Beach County Zoning Commission hearing on May 2nd. Before we begin, we'd like to swear in one of our new commissioners.
Okay.
Ms. Kennedy, over here. Welcome aboard.
Thank you.
Do you swear or affirm that you will faithfully perform the duties of office as a member of the Palm Beach County Zoning Commission and will support and honor and comply with all applicable laws of the state of Florida and Palm Beach County, including the Unified Land Development Code and the Palm Beach County Code of Ethics?
Yes, I do.
Thank you.
Okay. And we'll proceed on to roll call.
Good morning. Commissioner Pavlik,
Present.
Commissioner Kurt,
Here.
Commissioner Kelly,
Here.
Commissioner Caliendo,
Here.
Commissioner Vinacore,
Here.
Commissioner Reicher,
Here.
Commissioner Broomfield,
Here.
Commissioner Kennedy,
Here.
Commissioner Williams.
Here.
Thank you.
Okay, will you please stand for the prayer and the pledge?
Lord, we ask your guidance today as we consider matters that will affect the safety and welfare of many people in our county. Help us to listen with open minds to matters that are important before us and to act on matters that will benefit those who reside in our area. Keep our minds open and alert, our hearts compassionate, and our comments charitable. Amen. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, so it is that time of year that we've kind of put off for months while we have our full board. So we'll have our annual election of chair and vice chair.
Can I nominate somebody already?
Sure can.
So Sharice is chair and John is vice chair.
Second.
All in.
Well, I think we'll take chair first, and then we'll do vice chair.
All right. So,
And if there are any other, the floor is open for nominees from anybody who.
Okay, thank you.
Any other nominations? Okay, so if we can take a vote on the chair.
Aye.
I'm in favor.
Aye.
Aye.
And then we have a motion and a second on the vice chair. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Motions pass. So I'll turn the gavel to Pavlik.
All right, thank you. Okay. The Zoning Commission of Palm Beach County was convened at 9 a.m. in the Vista Center, Ken Rogers Hearing Room, BC 1W47, 2300 North Jog Road, West Palm Beach, Florida, to consider proposed applications and staff recommendations pursuant to and other actions the Palm Beach County Unified Land Development Code. The Commission takes final action regarding Class B conditional uses, subdivision variances, and Type 2 variances. The issues advisory recommendations on other requests. The Board of County Commissioners of Palm Beach County will conduct a public hearing at 301 North Olive Avenue, West Palm Beach, Florida, in the Jane M. Thompson Memorial Chambers, 6th floor at 9:30 a.m. on applications not subject to Zoning Commission final action. The zoning hearings are quasi-judicial in nature and must be conducted to afford all parties due process. The Board of County Commissioners has adopted procedures for conduct of quasi-judicial hearings to govern the conduct of such proceedings. The procedures include the following. Any communication with commissioners which occurs outside the public hearing must be fully disclosed at the hearing. Applicants and persons attending the hearing may question commissioners regarding their disclosures. Such questions shall be limited solely to the disclosures made at the hearing or the written communication made a part of the record at the hearing. Any persons representing a group or organization must provide documentation that the person representing the group has the actual authority to do so regarding the matter before the commission. Any person who wishes to speak at the hearing will be sworn in and may be subject to cross-examination. The applicant and county staff may cross-examine witnesses. Any other persons attending the hearing may submit cross-examination questions, including follow-up questions to the chair, who will conduct the examination. The scope of cross-examination is limited to the facts alleged by the witnesses in relation to the application. Public comment is encouraged, and all relevant information should be presented to the Commission in order that a fair and appropriate decision can be made. Do we have proof of publication?
Yes, we do.
Madam Chair, I'd like to make a motion to receive and file proof of publication.
Second.
Motion made by Commissioner Kern, seconded by Commissioner
Caliendo.
Caliendo. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Swearing in?
All those wishing to testify or speak on today's items, please rise and raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Thank you.
Madam Chair, can I make a motion to approve the minutes?
Second.
Motion to approve the minutes made by Commissioner Kern, seconded by Commissioner Caliendo. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Do we have amendments to the agenda?
We do have a few amendments to the agenda. I will point out item number 1, PDD DOA 2023-00848 on the agenda says Valencia Shores AGR PUD. It's actually Valencia Cove AGR PUD. Item number 2 on the add delete Z 2023 850 1 mile property. There's a correction to the acreage. It is 22 point. I don't know what the correction is. 22.07 on the official zoning map amendment. Item number 3, ABN DOA CA 2022-01898 Lantana Plaza. We have an amendment to landscape condition number 7, hereby deleted. An amendment to condition number 8 is amended, and the language is included. Plan unit development condition number 1 has amendments contained within the amended portion. Item number 4, ABN ZVZ CA 2023-669 Peace Village. There is an amendment to the motions. C is for C, not for D, and D is for D, not for C. And then there is an amendment to the type 2 variance, condition number 1 and condition number 5, as well as compliance condition number 1. We have also have an addendum submitted by the applicant for their justification statement that is included in the backup as well.
Do I have a motion to approve?
If I may,
I'm sorry.
I believe on item 1C, there was also a mistake in the title.
Oh, yes. 1C is not a development order amendment. It's actually a release of covenant, and the request is to partially release the conservation easement.
And there's no motion required on that, right?
I have to look. I don't know off the top of my head. We'll do a motion to be safe.
Motion to adopt the agenda.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Sorry, do I need to say Commissioner Kern and seconded by Commissioner Caliendo? All those in favor. Motion passes. Okay, disclosures. We'll start down with Ms. Commissioner Kennedy. Any disclosures?
Yes, I have disclosures. I spoke with the applicant on consent agenda and items 1 and 2, and regular agenda item 4. And I need to abstain from consent agenda item 1 because I live across the street from the applicant and the parcel.
Madam Chair, I spoke to the applicant on item number 4 as well as a site visit for the same item.
None.
No disclosures.
I have none.
Okay. I have a disclosure on item number 4. I talked to the applicant and the owner on item number 4. Same order, conflicts and recusals?
Yes, and the recusal, of course, from consent agenda, item number 1.
Yes. No.
No recusals.
None.
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 Okay, and I have none either. Do we need a motion to then separate the consent
No,
agenda?
we'll just make two different motions, motion 1 and then motion 2.
Okay. All right.
So,
So we need a motion on item number 1
have
due to the
motion.
recusal. So
Madam Chair, may I make a recommendation to approve item number 1 as amended?
Second.
Motion made by Commissioner Kern, seconded by Commissioner Caliendo. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion passes.
So
Madam-
that was for 1, 2, and 3, right? A, B, and C.
Yes, 1, 2,
Yes, ma'am.
3.
Sorry about that for the clarification. And Madam Chair, I'd like to make a motion to recommend approval for item 2A on the consent agenda.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion made by Commissioner Kern, seconded by Commissioner Caliendo. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Those, any opposed? Motion passes. And moving along to regular agenda items.
Okay, so item number 3 is ABN DOA CA 2022-01898 Lantana Plaza. There are 3 requests before the board. We have a development order amendment to a development order abandonment to abandon a requested use for a financial institution. No action is necessary. For the zoning commission, a development order amendment modifying the overall MUPD, and a Class A conditional use for retail gas and sales with convenience store. I believe we have no cards on this, so I'll leave it up to the board if they would like presentations from the applicant and staff.
Okay, thank you. Do we have a request for any presentation from the applicant or staff?
No, none for me.
Madam Chair, I do not. So, Madam Chair, may I make a motion to recommend approval of item 3B?
Second.
You seconded. Okay, Commissioner Kern made a motion, seconded by Commissioner Williams. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion passes.
And Madam Chair, may I make a motion to recommend approval of item 3C?
Second.
Okay. Commissioner Kern made a motion, seconded by, I think Commissioner Caliendo got that this time. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
Okay, that'll bring us to item number 4, ABN ZVZ CA 2023-00669 Peace Village. The request before the board includes a development order, 2 development order abandonments, A and B. We have an official zoning map amendment to allow a rezoning from the RS district to the RM district, a type 2 variance for a reduction in parking, and a Class A conditional use to allow a density bonus greater than 50% through the Affordable Housing Density Program. We can turn it over to the applicant for a presentation and then staff.
Thank you.
Good morning, Commissioners. I'm Lauren McClellan with J. Morton Planning and Landscape Architecture on behalf of the property owner United Congregational Church and their development partner Green Mills Group. I am presenting the Peace Village application today. So today with me from our office is Alex Ehrenholtz from Green Mills Group. I have got Mitch Rosenstein and Andres De Felice. And then from the Union Church, I have Pastor Sheila and members of the congregation. And I also have representative from Simmons and White, Anale, if there's any questions during the presentation or after the presentation. So the application before the commission this morning is comprised of 4 requests. I'll discuss each request in more detail, but the requests are an abandonment of a special exception use, which would be the place of worship, a rezoning from single-family residential to multifamily residential, a Class A conditional use for affordable housing, and then a Type 2 variance for a parking reduction. So I want to make note of the location of the property. The 6.47 acre property is located at the southwest corner of Summit Boulevard and Haverhill Road. As you can see from this aerial, the property is mainly surrounded by multifamily uses. There's some single family, and then to the east of the property is a school. So every week, if not more, there are articles in the newspaper about the housing crisis. There are not enough affordable and workforce housing units available to the residents of Palm Beach County. And they're even less available for the very low income population and the elder population. The Green Mills Development Group is a development partner and co-applicant of this application and is a well-established housing developer. They focus on workforce, affordable, and senior housing development throughout the state of Florida. They're community resident focused in all of their projects that they develop, which is evidenced by their partnership with the existing place of worship and their community outreach efforts during the zoning approval process. The first request is the abandonment of the special exception use, which would be the place of worship. When the church was originally approved, the approval process was a bit different. The approval for places of worship had to go through the Board of County Commissioners. The code has since changed, and places of worship are now approved administratively in certain instances with certain parameters. So that being said, once the rezoning occurs, the request will be made through the administrative process as the church will remain on site. So as you can see from this aerial map, the existing church is located in the northern half of the property. The 150-seat church will remain, as I mentioned, and you can't really see it, but there's parking kind of along the south and west of the site. There's a lot of trees on this site, which makes the site really, really pretty. And the church is also going to maintain ownership of the property. Green Mills Group has entered into a long-term lease with the church. So the next two requests more or less go together, the rezoning to multifamily residential and then the Class A conditional use for the density bonus for affordable housing. So this map shows the surrounding future land use designations in the area. You can see the property is primarily surrounded by high residential 8 units per acre land use designations. And then further to the east in the purple, you can see that this is very close to the military trail corridor, which is the county's urban redevelopment area. The proposed rezoning to multifamily residential is consistent with the existing HR8 land use designation. This area shows the surrounding zoning designations. There's a mix of single-family, multifamily zoning designations within the area. Immediately to the west is the Summit Pines neighborhood, which is zoned single-family residential, but those are multifamily, those are quad units. This is the site plan for the property. As I mentioned, the property is 6.48 acres in size. It's located within the county's revitalization redevelopment overlay. It's also located within the Summit Pines CCRT area. The existing church is 8,600 square feet with 150 seats. The property currently has access as a right-in, right-out from Summit. The proposed 104-unit multifamily building has been strategically located on the southern end of the property. The building is 3 and 4 stories. The 4 stories is in the middle, and it tapers down to 3 stories on the east and west sides of the building. And an additional access point has been added to Haverhill Road. Also want to note that there's a Palmtran bus route along Haverhill Road, and you can see the arrow pointing to the existing bus shelter along Haverhill. So these are some renderings of the front of the building. You can see the 3 and 4 story elevations, and then this is the passenger pickup and drop off area. And then this is a rendering of the facade facing Haverhill Road. The architecture does meet the ULDC Article 5C. So next is a variance request, but before I completely leave the discussion of the conditional use request, I just want to point out that staff's sole reason per the staff report for not supporting the conditional use is based upon their recommendation for the variance. So other than the parking requirements, again, per the staff report, the Class A conditional use meets all of the other standards and criteria. So the variance request is for a parking reduction. I just want to point out that the proposed project is an age-restricted affordable housing project. So this slide shows the April 27th op-ed on the right side that was written by Commissioner Weiss, as well as a screenshot from the county's own website where it was identified that parking rates need to be decreased in order to get more affordable housing units built. Commissioner Weiss and other commissioners gave direction to staff to review and revise the parking code at their April 25th BCC hearing. In the article, Commissioner Weiss stated, "I'm thankful the board unanimously supported this. We need to amend the ULDC to provide us with flexibility when it comes to parking so we can get more affordable homes for those who need it most." So to get into the code a little bit, the county code currently requires 2 parking spaces per unit. That is inclusive of guest parking. It's 1.75 spaces per unit plus 0.25 for guest parking. And I want to note that the Institute of Transportation Engineers, the ITE manual, specifies that only 0.61 spaces are needed for senior age-restricted housing. This chart also provides two other projects, so the Auburn Village in Polk County and then Forest Ridge in Citrus County. Those are two other Green Mills projects that they've developed, and they have actual parking demand for those two projects. So they are 0.91 and 1.01 respectively for the Polk and the Citrus County projects. This proposed project, we are requesting a 76 parking space reduction, which represents a rate of 1.27 spaces per unit, which is above both the ITE standards and the other examples that Green Mills has constructed. So there's multiple factors that serve as justification for the variance. So you can see the darker green areas on this slide represent the dry detention. This property, these areas are critical to the design of the project because the property is located within the C51 basin. The C51 basin requires more area for water storage and drainage than in other areas of the county. Additionally, in the same area, there's a lot of mature oak trees and pine trees on the property. IRM is requiring that this vegetation be preserved, and frankly, it kind of makes it for a nicer project, so it's not in opposition for us. And then finally, Parks and Recreation Department has required the project to meet the full requirements for recreation area, as there's very few parks and public open spaces in the area. So again, I think it's going to add to and contribute to this being a really good project for the residents. So these are the main contributing factors, other than simply just not needing the parking for the affordable housing units. And so I also kind of wanted to pull some clips. So this is an article from the American Planning Association magazine titled "A Business Case for Dropping Parking Minimums." In the article, an FAICP member and urban planning professor at UCLA states parking requirements do so much harm. They add costs to the building of housing, and they seem to work against almost everything that planners want. The article continues and cites a project in Cutler Bay, Florida, so south of here, that led to the town modifying their parking code for senior housing. Their code was also 2 spaces per unit, and they reduced it to 1 space per unit. So Cutler Bay could certainly be a great example as the county moves forward with the direction that the Board of County Commissioners gave them last week. So also to contribute to the need for affordable housing that we have a letter from the Housing Leadership Council regarding this project. And so in the letter, they stated that low and moderate income seniors are reaching crisis levels in terms of housing affordability, and these units are critically important to this area. In fact, at the BCC meeting yesterday, Commissioner Barnett actually stated under Commissioner comments that the board needs to advocate for more housing and do whatever is needed to bring the units to market. The HLC is in full support of the project as proposed. So in summary, the applicant is providing all of the units in the project to those under 80% average area median income. We held a meeting with the Summit Pines neighborhood on October 17th. It was held at the church. It was very well attended. At that meeting, there was no opposition from those that attended the meeting. We do have support from the Housing Leadership Council. And once the staff moves forward, given the direction from the Board of County Commissioners, I believe that this project will be in conformance with the code. The fact is that if this project had been submitted a little bit later, this variance probably would not be needed, but because of the timing and the applicant has to meet certain funding deadlines, it's critical that this variance is approved in order to continue moving forward with the project and bring these affordable senior housing units to market. So we respectfully request approval for all the requests today. If you have any questions, my whole team and I are here.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Good morning, Lisa Mara, Zoning Director. So I'm going to present this to you when the presentation comes up on the screen. I'm not going to recap a lot of the information that was provided by Lauren, but I do want to highlight one slide here, and that is this. And this is the slide that shows the proposed variance on the top and the ULDC requirements and the Westgate housing parking requirements on the bottom. And as Lauren stated, last week the Board of County Commissioners directed staff to come up with a new tool in the toolbox. Excuse me. Right now, the only opportunities for an applicant to request a reduction in parking are an administrative type 1 waiver that is approved up to 15% by zoning itself as the development review officer. And the only other mechanism for a reduction in parking is a variance. And the variance is a challenge for staff because of the standards that it has to meet. And the Board of County Commissioners recognizes this, which is why they directed us to come up with a waiver process. Waivers have a different kind of analysis, there's different standards, and it allows projects to move forward to the Board of County Commissioners recognizing the unique constraints on individual parcels with new development. And in particular, the direction was for affordable housing. So looking at that slide in that graphic, what you'll see that regardless of the location of the property, regardless of the number of bedrooms, regardless of the income, our Unified Land Development parking regs are all the same at 1.75 per unit, and then 25% of the parking is additional for guest parking. This is different compared to other local governments. Our parking regs have been the same at least since 1992. Since 1992, the Planning Division and the housing leadership and all sorts of studies have come before the board to say we need more affordable housing, we need more workforce housing. And I'd like to point out too that workforce housing is different than affordable housing. We don't often have affordable housing projects before us, before this board, and before the Board of County Commissioners, because they're just not as common and there is not as much development interest that we see compared to workforce. So as you've all seen, this is a critical need for the county, and the only tool in the toolbox is a variance. Now, staff recommended denial because of the way the standards are written. Two of those standards are almost insurmountable. However, this is not a decision by staff. This is a decision by you and your appointed positions to consider all substantial competent evidence before you and the information provided by the applicant and all factors presented in the staff report. So, and as Lauren stated, if this variance is approved, this is the only way for this project to move forward to the Board of County Commissioners at the end of this month. If the variance is approved, we would revise the staff report and no longer recommend denial of the Class A, because the only single critical factor with the Class A is the parking that triggered the need for the variance. So I wish that this morning that you strongly consider everything that staff and the applicant has presented in your decision. And we can turn it over, if you don't have any questions, to public comment.
Okay, thank you.
Madam Chair, if I may, just to add on to a point Lisa made, very good explanation. Just because we have a few new commissioners on board, Lisa mentioned competent substantial evidence. There are specific enumerated criteria for each of these applications, and as she put on the screen, staff has found that 2 of those have not been met. So because they've found that 2 of those have not been met, if anybody on the board hypothetically wanted to approve the application, you would have to make a finding in your judgment that there's competent substantial evidence on the record to support a finding that those standards have been met. So I just wanted to kind of clarify that and allow you to proceed.
Okay, thank you very much. Are there any comments right now from the commission? No, we have a few comment cards that from the audience that would like to speak.
So, ladies and gentlemen, as I call your name, please come up to one of the 2 podiums. You'll have 3 minutes to speak. The timer is on the wall behind us, just to the left, and there will be a small buzzer, just so we can get everyone in to speak today. So, the first 2 names I'd like to call is Richard Hunterberg, and Kim Doe, please. When you address the podium, please state your name and address for the record.
Hello, my name is Richard Hunneberg. I live at 1020 Summer Trail Circle, just adjacent to the church's property. I have lived there with my family for 26 years. I've never heard about the meeting on October of 23rd, October of last year about this. So I don't know where they said that it was well attended, but I didn't hear nothing about it, and I've been on the board a few times. But we lived there. We were surrounded by woodlands and wetlands. In the past 10 years, one thing she has forgot to mention in the presentation is that less than 500 feet south of this massive building, 4-story building, there's nothing that's that high anywhere in the area. Less than 500 to 1,000 feet is over 500 low-income housing units that were just built within the last 10 years, the Waverly and Windsor Park. They totally negated that. That's just south of it, less than 500 to 1,000 feet. Like I said, our property has been turned from wetlands into apartment buildings all around. But yeah, the 4-story building, that's crazy. I've never seen anything that tall before. I believe the intersection of Summit Boulevard and Haverhill is one of the most dangerous intersections in our county. Traffic is so bad at rush hour, we can't even exit our property. The vehicles are all backed up past our entrances. And the church wants to squeeze another 104 homes right on the intersection with approximately 200 more vehicles. There ain't no way they're going to get 104 families with 132 vehicles, because all these families have children and they become teenagers and they all want to drive cars. So there's no spaces they have there because it's very small. This little tiny section of natural wetland that's in here contains many old-growth trees and wildlife, according to the volunteers at the Pine Jog Nature Center. In the 26 years of boarding this property, I've seen eagles make nests there, large turtles, foxes, raccoon families, and all sorts of colorful birds. Using this tiny small section, what I thought was protected, I became concerned when I overheard a group of people in the parking lot talking about, that the church was losing members, and they wanted something to change. They changed the zoning that was already changed for them once in '89 to build a church. Is this church using the position of wanting to squeeze more housing to it's a middle income, lower income neighborhood, very overly congested, just an excuse to make more money and keep their doors open? Well, I do believe we need affordable housing. Placing additional 104 families in an already unsafe, overcrowded intersection of West Palm Beach, it's not fair to the prospective new tenants or the church's current neighbors. It's just crazy. But yeah, 132 parking spaces for 104 units. I'm looking at that and saying, there ain't no way. What about the church when members of the church want to go to church on Sunday? Where are they going to park? There are going to be so many spaces that are already taken over there because they all have kids. Everybody has kids. Even grandparents have kids. The Windsor Park, they have tons of parking spaces over there, but there's just no room on that corner. It's just so small. But it's very dangerous on that intersection there. If you look at all the results, there's always sirens and everything's going off, and we can't pull out of our park. We can't pull out of our development because everything's backed up with the school buses. We have schools at each end of the property down there. So I hope you look into this. And like I said, we do need affordable housing, but we got a lot of it right within 1,000 feet of where they want to build another 104, and that building is massive. A 4-story building. It doesn't exist anywhere around there.
Thank you, sir.
Through the chair, question for the speaker. Sir? You mentioned traffic. Did you present or do you have a traffic study that would substantiate any of your anecdotal?
I just know that I try to pull out of there at 7:30 in the morning, and we can't move.
No. Yes or no?
I do not. No.
No traffic study.
I have no traffic study.
Okay.
Just living experience.
Any environmental study?
No.
None?
Just living there for 26 years.
Okay. No study. Thank you, sir.
Yeah. You're welcome.
Ms. Kim, please state your name and address for the record.
Yes, my name is Kim Doe, and I reside at 610 Clematis, apartment 820, West Palm Beach, Florida, 33401. Good morning. So my name is Kim Doe, and I'm a resident of West Palm Beach. I'm a member of the Palm Beach County Housing Leadership Council, public Policy Committee, which is how I learned about this project. So last Friday, the council saw the presentation on this project and voted unanimously to support the parking variance and the rezoning request. I'm also here today to give my specific ardent support. One of my other hats is a voting member of the West Palm Beach Downtown Action Committee, which is the equivalent of planning and zoning for downtown West Palm Beach. In that capacity, occasionally I would have to consider variances and other matters, just as you are today, that do not fit perfectly within the boundaries of the current codes. Here, the parking ratio being requested is 1.25 space per unit. Within downtown West Palm, we have sub-districts that allow for 1 space for every 2 units, meaning 0.5 space per unit by right. Why I understand the walkability of downtown West Palm is different from where this location is, the location for this project. The 0.5 versus 1.25 provides a broader context of the various parking ratios that do work. In light of the severe housing shortages, the increased labor and material costs, and skyrocketing insurance costs, new constructions are getting much more and more difficult to get built. At Florida Housing, I see many projects that already give the local county support don't even make it to the state level because the developers say they do not pencil all the costs versus the construction and then future ongoing maintenance, ongoing costs don't pencil in, so the application don't even get submitted or eventually don't get built. So. In considering, in light of all these factors, and in considering variances, as you well know, public interest is one of the most strongest critical criteria. I know there's a list of criteria that you have to consider in your decisions, but I believe the public interest far outweighs all the other criteria here. So, in conclusion, I strongly support and respectfully request this board to grant the applicant's request so that we can create more units that are much needed into the market. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Kim. Next to the podium is going to be Ms. Suzanne Cabrera and Reverend Sheila Harvey.
Good morning. I'm Suzanne Cabrera, President and CEO of the Housing Leadership Council. And we're here just to kind of look at the issues that are coming up today. We don't build housing, we don't manage housing, we try to create the environment where housing can be created. We study the conditions. And our last housing needs assessment was startling. And it was before we had the big influx. Our numbers are up to 2020, and I just can't believe how far behind we've gotten building units. And seniors is just a classic example, especially low-income seniors. The calls I get every day, if you have any idea where I can send them all, that would be very helpful. But I'm kind of here to speak for the people that would live there. It's easy to have neighbors that come in and they all want affordable housing, I think, and they want to do the right thing, but boy, don't put it near me. And that's the big problem with everything is we really have this issue all the time, and I see that I speak on a lot of these, and one time years later, I talked to a resident who was very against a project like this, and he's like, man, I forgot about that. Exactly what we want. They didn't even notice it when they came in. And I think the important thing here, these are 1 bedroom, 1 bath. We're not going to have huge families in here. We're not going to have typically more than 1 car. It's seniors, if they can afford 1 car right now, that's a blessing. That's why I like this site, because it is on transit and will give people an opportunity to get around, which is really important. They get to a point where they don't want to drive in the traffic. I know, I've been through that with parents, and they typically, if it's a couple, go down to 1 car. Just because you have to save money and you don't need those extra cars. And it's not going to be a case of teenagers and everybody else having cars. And I think this is a classic example of where regulatory issues are coming before common sense. I think these units are a gift to Palm Beach County. Oh my goodness, when I heard about this, I was so excited because it was for our seniors that are lower income. So I think it's really important that we get beyond that. And as I said, you have to overcome those two lines. Well, you have to overcome the fact that our seniors don't have any place to live right now, and especially any place that will give them an affordable rent. So I think it's really important that you give the waivers. You've heard that we are going to be working. Reduced parking is one of the biggest issues in our plan to really help some of the overcome regulatory barriers and make sure that we can build the housing that's needed. So speaking on behalf of the seniors, I am one now, and are thinking that this is something that's going to be really important for Palm Beach County. And as I said, please take this gift they're offering. I think they're going to be really great neighbors, and there won't be any problems going forward. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Reverend Sheila Harvey and Mitch Rosenstein, would you like to come to the podium and speak?
Hello, and thank you for having us. My name is Reverend Dr. Sheila Harvey, and I'm speaking on behalf of the church, Union Congregational United Church of Christ. And we believe our theology is that God calls us to love our neighbor as ourselves. And so we were sitting on nearly 7 acres of land, beautiful land. We enjoy our land, but it's been a vision of about 10 years now to prayerfully move forward and think about how we can become good neighbors. And so the vision was to offer affordable housing for seniors. As a pastor, I have fielded so many conversations regarding our seniors who are no longer able to live here because they're on fixed incomes. And I hope that all of our neighbors understand that we love everybody and we want to support everybody, including our most vulnerable. So we are glad that you're hearing this today. We hope that you understand that even our seniors are our neighbors. Our seniors who can't afford but so much are also important and deserve to live here. And we will do everything that we can to continue to be good neighbors. So thank you for listening to this.
Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Mitch Rosenstein. I'm a principal of Green Mills Group. We're Pastor Sheila and UCC Church's partner in Peace Village. My address is 16520 Via Venetia East, Delray Beach, Florida. My address says Delray, but technically I'm also a resident of unincorporated Palm Beach County. My notes will exceed 3 minutes, so I'll make myself available for any questions about our partnership, about the development, about our experience, and about what we do and how we do it. So within the next 2 minutes and 30 seconds, I just want to say that Ms. Amara really framed the issue perfectly, I think. We believe that staff wants to see more affordable housing, wants to help be an impetus behind the creation of more affordable housing, but they're stuck in a framework that makes it harder for them, and hopefully that's going to change over time. And so we have to proceed with this variance request. And also a reminder, we are providing what we call capital A affordable housing. Homes with income and rent limitations up to 80% of the area median income. A little bit of perspective on that. On the low side, we'll have homes reserved at 30% of the median income. Those rents, the monthly rent, if open today, would be $602 a month for a one-bedroom, one-bath. Up to 80% of the median income, it would be $1,600 a month. And by the way, that includes utilities. Most of our homes will be reserved for folks at 60% and below the median income. The rent today would be about $1,200 a month. Actually affordable for seniors living on fixed income. One other note here. The gentleman who spoke, the neighbor, we sent notices to the board. I'm sorry that he wasn't there. He wasn't in attendance. We would have been happy to have had him in attendance and to have tried to address his concerns. That meeting was also attended by county staff, and it was pretty well attended. And there wasn't pushback to the density or the height, frankly. Keep in mind also that we stepped down the building at the ends from 4-story to 3-story to maintain a line of sight that is consistent with the other 3-story developments. The parking. This really all comes down to parking. If I'm at the risk of sounding righteous, and really it's just passion, the vast majority of our residents are going to be living off of Social Security and pensions and disability benefits. Do we really think that seniors are going to have more than one car? Most of our seniors are going to have more than one car. It hasn't been our experience at our other communities, and it's certainly not evidenced as being needed for this case. There are other hardships here too as well. The required retention areas, the desire to preserve trees, and of course the need for affordable housing. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mitch. Madam Chair, if I can be the first to speak, as if this is my district, and this matter really hits close to home for me. Just recently, my mother, who lives very, very close to me and who has always been close to me, couldn't afford her rental anymore, and we had to go find something new for her. And she is the senior. She's 72 years old. She is on a restricted income, as much as, we try to help and subsidize. And to find a nice rental for her, me and my wife needed to subsidize her improvements. So I commend staff and the Board of County Commissioners for trying to find new tools for us to be able to approve projects like this. Affordable housing is absolutely needed in our community, and I fully and wholeheartedly support this project moving forward, and we'll be voting for approval. There is no reason not to bring this forward at this point.
Okay, thank you.
Madam Chair, before we get too far into this, according to our order of procedure, I just wanted to make sure that the applicant, Lauren, if you had any rebuttal to anything that was said.
No, thank you, Scott. If anybody's any questions, we're available.
Okay, thank you.
I do have a question.
I do have one question.
Hold on. We're going to go this way, if that's okay. Is that all right? So go ahead.
I have two questions related. On the applicant's response, it states, and I think it's for applicant, not staff, it says that it's age restricted to 55 years and above. But is that for all residents of the building, or what are the requirements?
So there's actually a statutory definition for seniors housing, which explains the seniors as a protected class. And I'm going to butcher this a little bit, but the upshot is that the statute accepts two different definitions for seniors communities. One is 80% of units at 55 plus. The other is 100% of units with residents ages 62 and older. In situations like this, we default to the more flexible, the first definition. The reality is we're probably going to have 100% of the units at 62 and plus.
That's not my question. My question is everyone in the unit 55 or above?
If we go towards the second definition, then the answer would be yes. 62 and plus, 100% of residents 62 plus.
But your application right now is 55?
Yes.
So just one person in the unit will have to be 55 or above?
Yes.
Okay,
yes.
And my second question is that is the 48,167 the income limit, is that for the unit or is that for individuals living in the unit?
The entire unit. It's for the household.
Because it's not.
It's for the household, ma'am. They're household income limitations.
Can staff confirm that?
As far as the first question, we added a condition of approval, and it's in your add delete, the actual wording that all of the residents are 55 and up, because that's the justification for the variance.
And we're comfortable with that.
Yeah, so the applicant has concurred with that outside the context of and as far as the income requirements, the justification for this change is the age and the income and the use of the affordable housing program.
Mm-hmm.
So if this variance is approved, what will be approved is that all of the units fall within the ranges established in the county's affordable housing program. So on the minutia on that, I'm not 100% sure, but the condition of approval defers exclusively to the affordable housing program.
And is that a household income rate, or is that an individual income rate, just generally? Does anyone know?
Yes.
Household.
Yes, it's household. The term that's used in the county's regulations is area median income, which we then define as the median family income. So the family is whoever is the resident of the house. There's some peculiarities in the definition, but it can be one or two people or up to four unrelated. But that's, I think, way beyond this. But yes, it's family income.
Okay, thank you. Do you want me to make my statements, or do you want to just do questions first?
I'd like to do questions first, get those out.
Thank you.
Yes, oh, thank you. Yes, a question about the motion, the procedure. I'm just reading here. If we make a motion, it's to approve or deny, correct? It's not recommending, because
There are multiple items on the agenda. If you refer to the agenda.
I'm talking about D, for the type 2 variance.
The variance is an action that is approved or denied today.
Right, okay, because it says recommend.
Yes, so
but we're not
the
recommending.
motion should be to adopt a resolution.
To adopt.
Yeah, sorry about that. So this is consider this an add delete. So it should
Okay.
say,
you would have said to deny. You would have
Yes.
written to deny.
Yes.
Oh, but we could approve. It's not a recommendation because we're the final. On
correct,
this.
sorry about that.
Yeah. So I take this very seriously, especially when this board is the final decision on this. In this case, this type 2 variance. And being the scientist that I am, I look at the studies and the data and the industry input and the experts and of course what the commissioners say and the excellent presentation that staff made. So I think I have enough information to make a competent substantial evidence to really look at this favorably. I think you made a very good argument.
Thank you. Commissioner Brumfield, do you have any comments, questions?
I don't have any questions, but I concur with Commissioner Kern as well as my commissioner to my left that this project, I believe, is a windfall for Palm Beach County. We are in the process of reviewing the language that exists that would, in time, allow these things to be dealt with administratively and not before this board, as mentioned by our director. So I am wholeheartedly in favor of this project. I do see substantial competent evidence for the variance to be approved. Thank you.
Commissioner Kelly?
I concur with Commissioner Brumfeld and Commissioner Kern and look forward to being up on this.
Okay, thanks. Did you have another comment? Are you good?
Yeah, I have a couple questions. Well, first of all, I can state, being the owner of, in the past, of senior living, that there is no way they're going to have any more than one car. If they even have that, our parking lot was half empty all the time. So that worry about the parking is really ridiculous. But I had a question from the applicant. They say that you're retaining all those trees, the pine trees, which I'm not a big fan of. But you're retaining them all. They're in the middle of your site. Are you transplanting or planting new, smaller ones?
No, so the trees that are in the middle of the site, we have several large pines and oak trees. They're just going to remain. There's already some depressed area, which is more or less already being used for retention. So we're just leaving basically the middle of the site kind of as is and working around the trees.
But what about where there's some, I looked at your little plan, there's trees on the site itself.
Sorry?
On the buildable site, there's trees.
There are some, yes, there are some
And
trees.
those will go down.
Those are the pine trees. We cannot transplant pine trees. We think we are relocating some of the oak trees, but the pine trees we would have to mitigate for. So we're going to have to plant additional
That's
trees.
what I figured. I was just curious. But it's great. It's a great plan, and I'm totally in support of it. That's it.
Thank you. Commissioner?
No, I'm in support. So.
Commissioner Williams?
Yes, I fully support. I think it's much needed and a great presentation by the applicant and staff.
So,
Thank you.
can I
Yes,
go back?
yes.
Because I thought we were doing questions before for comments.
Yes, I apologize, but go ahead.
Yeah, so my comments are this, is that, I'm sorry, but there is no competent substantial evidence that the special circumstances and conditions do not result from the conditions of the actions of the applicant. The applicant chose this land, the applicant chose this density. There's nothing outside that would technically, that gives evidence that shows that these variances should be applied. Yes, I applaud the project, but the staff is in the process of just starting to look at the tools for changing the parking circumstances. I think that this application is a couple months too early because we do not have the legal processes in the county to approve this variance. The applicant has shown no competent substantial evidence regarding the parking and why the variance should be applied with regard to them as opposed to anyone else that's coming in for this. The literal interpretation of the enforcement of the code would not deprive the rights of the applicant as opposed to anyone else. So I disagree that any competent substantial evidence has been presented, and I will be voting no on the variance for that reason. I think the applicant should be applauded. I think it's a wonderful application, but it's 2 or 3 months too soon.
Okay, thank you. I just wanted to make a comment that I also feel that the applicant did a good job. There is a definite need for affordable housing, and I think that we can look at the fact that there is some valuable evidence to substantiate that the parking could be substantiated to be reduced.
Can I ask one question? Can I ask anyone?
Until I'm done speaking?
Yeah.
Thank you. So what I was going to say is I just applaud the staff giving us some direction as well as the applicant and want to take all this into consideration. Yes. you may go.
If anyone can present to me the evidence for D and B on the applicant's response, if anyone can present to me the evidence that shows that they meet the requirements for those two variance procedures.
If I may, through the chair?
Yes.
The unique factor of this property, probably the strongest case, is the environmental constraints because of being the drainage requirements in the C51 canal and also the tree retention. Had they instead chose to debate with staff the removal of the trees and do a different kind of storage technique, they would have the ability to fit the parking on site. So I think that would be their strongest case. The other evidence is the parking analysis that they provided based on the other projects that the company manages. They did demonstrate that it's in the backup, the study that they provided, and then the table of parking requirements across the board that's presented on this slide, that had they been in the CRA or if they were doing efficiencies, they would meet the code requirement for one parking space per one unit. So that's the way that the applicant presented it in the backup. So I'm just repeating what the applicant stated in their justification.
Thank you. Did the applicant want to come up and answer some questions?
I'm ready to make a motion.
Yes, I mean, Lisa said it about as well as I could. For us to go, yes, sure. Could we put the parking on the site? Yes. What would that involve? That would involve tearing out some very mature pine and oak trees. What else would that involve? That would involve the construction of exfiltration trench, which only adds to the construction cost of housing. So could we put the additional parking on there? For sure. But it is detrimental to the existing vegetation on the site. It would be detrimental to the drainage on site. So that is why we feel that this is the evidence and this is the hardship that this site has.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Madam Chair, if there's no other questions or comments, I'd like to move forward. As no motion is necessary on items A and B, I'd like to recommend approval of item 4C.
Second.
Second.
A motion made by Commissioner Kern, seconded by Commissioner Caliendo. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed?
Nay.
Motion passes.
Madam Chair, I'd like to make a second motion to finding competent substantial evidence. I'd like to recommend approval of item 4D, subject to the conditions of C1 and C2 as amended.
Madam Chair, we actually just, Ms. Vinacore identified there was an issue with the wording. It's actually adopting a resolution, not recommending approval.
I'm sorry?
So it would be motion to adopt a resolution approving item 4D. And yes, thank you for clarifying that you found substantial competence evidence to support all the standards.
So I'd like to amend my approval as per Scott's direction.
Okay.
Second.
Motion made by Commissioner Kern, seconded by Commissioner Caliendo. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed?
Nay.
Motion passes.
Madam Chair, I'd like to approve item 4E on the agenda, finding competent substantial evidence, and as amended.
Second.
A motion made by Commissioner Kern, seconded by Commissioner Caliendo. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed?
Nay.
Motion passes.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Okay, thank you very much. All right, now on to comments. County Attorney, any comments?
No more, thanks.
Okay, thank you. Planning Director?
None here. Thank you.
No? All right. Zoning Director?
Good morning, and I'm happy to see a full board.
Yes.
That's my only comment.
Executive Director, any comments?
No, just welcome to Susan and our new commissioner.
Okay, and any additional comments from commissioners? Motion made to adjourn, seconded. We are adjourned. Thank you very much, everyone.